Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. Let's get together and talk about scams, the things that are affecting all of us, but the majority of them that I want to focus on today are actually for seniors. So that's what I want to focus on. And we're just starting in a few minutes. So what I decided to do today is to talk about scams because I get this stuff almost every day. I can only imagine how it's affecting you, maybe your parents, your grandparents. And just to give you an example, just a couple of days ago, and I'm looking on my phone, I got a text message from a local heating and air conditioning company that I know. I know that they actually exist. And they sent me a message from a different area code phone number, yet I knew who they were. And they said, oh, by the way, just so you know, your service plan expired, and please reach out to us to get it renewed and get information. And I saw that and I said, well, first of all, yes, I know who you guys are. And then I stepped back for a second. I'm like, I don't have a service plan with this company. I don't have a service plan on my furnace anyway because it's new, which means it's still under warranty. And then I almost went into my phone to type a response and just say, I'm not interested. I don't have a plan with you. And then I stopped myself. And I thought to give you a good example, because that is one of the things that I'm going to probably repeat to you over and over, is the fact that you need to stop and think and read through before you respond to anything that is not familiar and you're not sure where it's coming from. So that's to give you an example that's coming to my phone on a regular basis. And I am not a boomer. I'm not a senior. So here are some facts that I want to share with you. Financial fraud is costing us $45 billion annually. So this is not just something small. It's a really big deal. It's costing a lot of money. And 80% of the marketing is truly targeted towards victims that are 60 years old and older. Seniors are targeted because of the fact that they may not be as tech savvy as some of the younger generations. They may have fear of the technology and the computers, and scammers are going to pry on that fear. And this is why it's happening. Some of the other things that I was reading is that 1 in 5 seniors over the age of 60 have been a victim of some sort of scam. And it's a really serious issue. And I think that it's going to get more serious because technology is not stopping, it's evolving and it's getting more complicated and it's getting more serious. So things that were brand new a year or two ago are now outdated because of the speed with which technology is changing and being updated. So today, scams are more sophisticated and definitely more smarter. And if you think about it, they're probably going to get more sophisticated because of the artificial intelligence as well. AI is here to stay, and it's only going to get smarter and more sophisticated. Many cases, unfortunately, go unreported. And I'll give you another example that I personally had. I received a letter, and it stated that it was from Pennsylvania Department of Revenue, right? And it was pertaining to something, to a property that I own. And they were talking about the fact that I had some unpaid taxes and that it was due, and that because I didn't make payments, it was I owed some penalties and interest. And I looked at that and I talked to my husband about it. I said, this does not look true. And then there was a phone number that you could call. And I looked it up and it said that it was actually Pennsylvania Department of Revenue. Yet when I called, I could hear that there was some clicking and weird noises. And then a person came on the phone and I had some questions for them. And it still really sounded very, very shady. So what I ended up doing is I did not act on it. I did go to my local police department and I filed a report. And you know what they told me, which is very unfortunate, but I still feel that it's the right thing to do because this is how the government and the agencies are able to track things and kind of figure things out and put some action plan in place to combat these scammers, is because of the reporting. So I still truly do believe that it's necessary. We filed the report, and the police department told us that they get so many of these, is that there's just not enough manpower to handle all of these cases, to do all of this research, and to figure out where these scammers are. Because as you can imagine, most of these scammers are overseas, sitting somewhere, and that is their job, unfortunately, is to do this every day. And out of the maybe thousands of messages they send out, thousands of phone calls that they may get one or two, and to them, that's a victory. So, yes, I do still think that the scams should get reported for the simple reason of trying to get people on board and coming up with some kind of programs of stopping these terrible things. So that's in terms of the facts, because they're pretty staggering. What I want to do now is actually go through with you and talk about some of the examples of the scams that I have seen and that you may see. So that way, if God forbid it happens to you, which there is a very good chance of it, you're going to be very vigilant and you're going to recognize for what it is, that it's a scam, and you're going to be able to quickly figure it out and take care of it without getting into trouble. So the first one that I want to share with you, and there's a few of them here on my list, is Medicare and health insurance scams. And I just want you to kind of keep in mind that they're probably doing this at the time when you may be more vulnerable, which is around the time when you are making plans to sign up for the program, or around the time when it's annual enrollment, or at the time when you can make changes, which is around October, November time in the fall, is when they're trying to kind of insert themselves and say, hey, how can I help you? So what happens is there may be people that are posing as Medicare representatives to try to get you to provide them with your personal information. And information is your name, your date of birth, your social security number, things like that. What I can tell you in my own experience in dealing with government agencies, because of my real estate work, I do that quite often for different reasons, is that no government agency will ever call you, that's number one, or ask you for personal information. The correspondence and the conversations always start with you when you call them, when you call the government agency. And in order for them to verify who you are is when they're going to ask you these questions. Can I please have your name? Can I please verify your address? Sometimes they'll ask you for the last four of your social. So no government agency ever will call you. They do everything by mail. IRS, VA department, everything comes through mail. Okay, so that should be your first clue. Next also is there are professionals, and I'm actually going to be interviewing one next week on my live, who is a Medicare and supplemental insurance professional. This is a person that is licensed and insured, who is actually trained to provide you with the information that you may need in order to help you to sign up with the correct plan, and then pick and choose a supplemental coverage that you may need based on your current situation. So these are the individuals that is their job, and they're more than happy to provide you with a verification of their ID and their credentials to help you make sure that you understand that this is who they are. So when somebody is trying to pose as one and contact you, most likely it's going to be a scam. The next one on the list is counterfeit prescription drugs. Most commonly, these scams do operate on internet, where seniors are increasingly going to find better prices on specialized medications. And I totally get that too. And this scam is unfortunately growing in popularity. So the danger here is that in addition to paying money for something that is probably not going to help your medical condition, you also have a potential of purchasing something that is an unsafe substance. So be careful. I think one of the biggest things you can do to protect yourself is to purchase prescriptions from reputable suppliers, the companies that are recommended maybe by your pharmacy, companies that are recommended by your insurance carrier or by Medicare. The third one on our list is funeral and cemetery scams. And that's just terrible and awful. And unfortunately, that does happen because the scammers find you and your loved ones in the time of when you are sensitive and you are upset and you're going through a tough time. So a couple of things where that may happen is scammers may read the obituaries and call or even attend the funeral service of a loved one to take advantage of a grieving widow or maybe even a guest. So what they may say is that they may claim that the deceased has an outstanding debt with them, and then the scammer will try to extort money from their relatives to settle fake debt. So another important fact is when you are in this situation and you have to arrange services for a loved one, please ask for references and use a local reputable funeral home. It's very important that they have good reputation and they have good reviews, because they will help you in getting everything situated, provide you advice, and they're not going to rip you off, because unfortunately there are disreputable funeral homes that do exist where they can try to capitalize on family members, and they will sometimes try to sell you a casket when your intent is potentially to cremate a loved one. So just keep that in mind, that getting references and asking for referrals is one of the best ways to make sure that you are going to get a reputable help, a team member to help you in the tough times that you're going through. The fourth one is going to be fraudulent anti-aging products. This is interesting because I think that a lot of them exist in the beauty industry, where they promise you that if you put this lotion and potion on and then maybe give it a couple of days and you're going to look 20 years younger. So that's again too, you see a lot of that when you're looking at videos on Instagram and TikTok. And I will look at it and I will kind of keep an eye on things, but I always look for verification to see if the company is reputable, if they have reviews, right? You can always Google to see, like if you're looking at a specific product, you can actually Google the name of the company, reviews, or the name of the company, feedback, or anything else, and you'll find some information. If this company is known for misrepresentation, I'm sure there was somebody that complained about it, and you can kind of look at that feedback and see. So many older Americans do seek out new treatments and medications to maintain a youthful appearance. And of course, that's where it's going to put you at the risk of the scammer. Whether it's fake Botox, like one in Arizona, where it netted distributors who were convicted and jailed over $1.5 million in just 1 year, or completely bogus homeopathic remedies that do absolutely nothing. There is money definitely in the anti-aging business. So just keep in mind that if you do like something that you see, do some research ahead of time, see if the company is reputable, if there's a review, check with others that you know, and then you can make a decision whether you want to purchase something or not. The next one that I have on the list is telemarketing and phone scams. And that one is the most common one that I think I see, and other my clients have mentioned to me as well, where it's going to be a telemarketer that is going to call you to sell you something. I think you'll agree with me. One of the calls that I get quite often is a local charity that is looking to collect some money. And what I told myself is that I'm never going to donate any money to anyone that calls me, because I have no way of verifying the name of the charity. I don't know who they are. And I can tell you that every time they call me, and I actually do answer, because I do answer most of my phone calls, because I'm a little bit different than for most of you, is because I do get a lot of phone calls that are out of state for clients. So I do answer my phone. And if there's a charity that is calling me, I'm always going to tell them the same thing. I respect what you're doing. I would appreciate if you mail me the information so that way I can take a look and make a decision whether I want to contribute or not. And I want to ask you, how many of these charities do you think actually mailed me something as a follow up to the phone call that they made? What percentage do you think actually did that they said they were going to do? They said, absolutely, we're going to put something in the mail to you in the next day or two. Please let us know when you receive that information what you would like to do. I said, absolutely. That percentage is zero. I have yet one charity actually do what they said they're going to do, which is mail me the information. And that's a shame. So I do not contribute to any charity that is calling me, because I want to verify and make sure that they're truly legitimate. And I do have a couple of websites for you where you can verify if the charity is legitimate, what kind of budget they have, what is their marketing and their structure. One of them is called, one database is called guidestar.org. And the second one is charitynavigator.org. So I'm going to put these two websites in the video database so that way you can take a look. So that's another way of doing that. So the phone scams, also part of that is going to be people calling you, asking you for money. And also part of that is going to be those robocalls that everybody hates. And the way you can figure out if it's a robocall is if you answer the phone and then there's silence on the other end, because what's happening is the system is recognizing that you answered the phone and they're transferring you to a live person that is sitting there waiting for somebody like you to pick up the phone. That's what's happening. I get a lot of robocalls because companies are always trying to pitch me products to buy and things like that, miracle workers and so forth. And as soon as I answer the phone and I say, hello, this is Olga, and I can hear the silence, I know it's a robocall and I hang up. So most of the time I'm able to do that. And the robocalls and these scammers have gotten smarter, where they're now using our local phone numbers. Because a lot of the times people, this is one of the recommendations that I'm going to give you, that if you receive a phone call and you don't recognize the phone number, don't answer. And now if they're calling local number, a lot of the times people think it's safer to go ahead and answer that phone call because it's a local number. So the scammers are starting to get smarter. So with the marketing and the phone calls, the reason why they're so popular with scammers is because there is no face-to-face interaction. It's very safe for the scammers. There is no paper trail, and these scams are very hard to track. And that's why they're so popular. So and of course, they're looking for easy targets. Sometimes they can try and actually defraud the same person, because if they were gullible, sometimes these scammers will actually keep a database of the people that they were successful scamming, which is scary. And then they can pass on that information to others, so that way they can get scammed more than once. So here are some examples of the telemarketing fraud. I thought that was interesting. So one is called a pigeon drop, where the con artist is going to tell the individual that he or she has found a large sum of money and is willing to split it with the person if the person will make a good faith payment by withdrawing the funds from his or her bank account. Often a second con artist is also involved. They're going to be posing as a lawyer, banker, or some other trustworthy stranger. So that's one. Another one is a fake accident employee. The con artist gets the victim to wire or send money on the pretext that the person's child or another relative is in the hospital and needs the money. I find that very disturbing, because now they're using family members to prey on the emotions and the fear of the senior. So that's just scary. So we talked about the charity scams. You know what's interesting? In a few years back, when we had the situation where I got an email stating that somebody wanted to rent our house that we were renting for a short term, And what they needed from us was they were going to send us more money, and they needed us to send them the difference back. And they explained it in some weird way that sort of made sense, something that, my job is going to give me the check and they can only do this amount, but the rental is going to be less money. So if you don't mind, can you just go ahead and cut me the check for the difference? And I was like, sure. So my husband and I, we knew it was a scam, and we decided to play and scam the scammer. So we actually played along, and we're like, oh yeah, of course we can do that. We're more than happy to help you, but we need you to send that check via a FedEx. So we actually had them spend money. And yes, they did. They actually sent us a FedEx check with a bank check for that full amount. And what we did then is we called that bank to see if the check was real. And we called that bank. It was a bank, of course, in a different state. I think it was like somewhere in Tennessee. And when we called the bank, they looked at that check and they told us it's absolutely a scam. So that was a counterfeit check that was written out. And then after that, we said that, oh, well, can you send us a FedEx label so we can send you the check, which they did. And then we sent them a FedEx envelope back. And we added a note in there is, you've been scammed. Thanks, scamming the scammer. So they ended up paying extra money for the 2 FedEx labels because we just wanted to teach them a small lesson. So, and of course, we haven't heard from those people since, but that was one of those. That's actually a pretty popular one. I can't tell you how many times I get emails from a prince somewhere in Africa stating that I am now entitled to a $1 million inheritance of some sort. Just a random person in the United States is getting inheritance from a prince. Right. So that was that. Another one to keep in mind when looking at is investment scheme. And often many seniors find themselves with, savings that once they finish working. And of course, a number of investment schemes have been targeted at seniors looking to safeguard their cash for the later years. So there's pyramid schemes. Of course, we know about some of those. To the fables of the Nigerian prince looking for a partner to claim the inheritance, which is what I just mentioned to you. To complex financial products that many economists don't even understand. Investment schemes have long been a very successful way to take advantage of older people. And my suggestion to you is not to, and here we go. Look, right now, I'm actually getting a phone call from a random number with a weird area code that I know is going to be a robocall or something. Somebody's trying to sell me something. So, you know what? Let me answer and see who it is. Good afternoon. This is Olga. Hello? How can I help you? And there's silence on the other end. Hello? And there's nobody there. So, and that's how that ended. There was one hello, and that was the end of it. Another one that is very close to my heart because, of course, of my real estate profession is a homeowner and reverse mortgage scams. And what I can tell you is we did a really good call on another live last month that you may want to look at in the library of the videos in my channel. Was from a legitimate certified reverse mortgage specialist where we talked about everything that you need to know about reverse mortgages. It is a great program for some people. It is not the right program for some people. And this professional has been in the business for 30 years, for as long as this program has been in existence. And we really debunked a lot of the myths and a lot of the negativity that was surrounding the program. So I encourage you to check it out because reverse mortgage can be a potential good program for some of you to use, that if you want to stay in your homes and you have plenty of equity in your home, this may be a good option because reverse mortgage amount of money, whether you take it as a lump sum or you do lump sum and a monthly payment, is going to be able to help you to stay in the home if that is what you would like to do. You can use that money for just about anything. If you need to do some fixing up and repairs, if you need maybe some help with personal care and you need to hire someone to come in and help you to stay at home safely. All of these things can be done with the money that you can get from the reverse mortgage. So it's just important to understand how that works. It's even more important to work with someone who understands it, who is an actual professional. So I'm going to link Ken's contact information as well for you, because if this is something that you want to pursue and you want to learn more, you definitely want to talk to a professional who is going to ask you questions and point you in the right direction. And it's not going to be a scam for sure. The next one that we have is sweepstakes and lottery scams. It has a million different variations. And some of the examples that I can give you that I have seen were come have free dinner with us and listen to a presentation. You will also hear that in some ways when you have there's a timeshare presentation and they tell you that there is no obligation to buy or do anything and you're getting like a dinner or breakfast or lunch. Sometimes that's how they kind of lure you in, and then they make you sit, and then it's just a very long, very, very long day. So sometimes they say that you need to send a little bit of payment to unlock a prize in the lottery system. So things like that. So just be kind of aware that most likely when you're required to send some money for something when it's supposed to be a sweepstakes in the lottery, if you ever look at actual legitimate sweepstakes that big companies run, if you look at the bottom in the fine print, one of the first things that they say is no purchase necessary. If you would like to be entered additionally, just write to this address, because all of these things are governed by law. There's a certain way that you can only do this, and most of the time you're not required to purchase anything. So just keep that in mind. Grandparents scam is scary because what it does, it uses older adults' most reliable assets, which is their heart. If you just, prize on the emotions, where they're saying, oh, I'm calling on behalf of your grandchild, this and that, and they're in school and they don't have some money, or, they're looking for something else. And it's basically a fake grandchild or a friend of a grandchild asking you for money. And they're saying, oh, I'm in the jam. Can you please pay me some via Western Union or MoneyGram or Venmo or Cash App? You're using some of those apps to say, hey, can you send me some money? So just be aware. Unfortunately, they're using the family members as well. The next one is fake contractors that are going door to door offering fix-it services, often capitalizing on the recent natural disaster in the area, and they may ask for instant payment via cash or check up front, promising to start the work the next day, and then they're going to disappear. Unfortunately, that is common. I have contractors that pop in here on a regular basis, and what they usually say is, well, I'm already doing a driveway in the neighborhood, and just wanted to see if you are interested. And you know what? Sometimes these are very legitimate contractors. There's nothing wrong with that. And what I would suggest is you ask for their ID, and you say, okay, which house are you working at? And maybe if you do need to get some work done based on what they're offering, you may go in and say, okay, great, I appreciate you stopping by. What number can I reach you at? And then you do your research, you do your due diligence. Maybe you go and visit that neighbor that is getting the work done to see if that is truly happening. And if it is, you can ask them for their opinion on how the contractor has been performing. Have they been great? Are they doing what they're supposed to be doing? What kind of estimate did you receive? Were they expensive? And then you can make a decision whether you want that contractor to also do the work for you. So please don't be pressured in doing anything. You have the time to research, and especially if they're pressuring you for something to make a decision on the spot, it's definitely sounding fishy. So it's probably not a best move for you to work with this person. Another one that is very popular is software. So right now I'm talking to you through my computer, and sometimes you will see a pop-up all of a sudden, and it says, oh, you have a virus on your computer, and it's like flashing, right? So it's like it's grabbing your attention and starts to automatically make you anxious and nervous, and that is their intent. They say you have a virus on your computer, you need to click on this button to make sure that you can download some kind of software to help you and fix it. Please do not push on any buttons. Don't do anything because your computer is not going to flash with this kind of software. And also, Microsoft or whatever your computer is, Apple, if you have HP, you have Dell, none of those companies are going to reach out to you through your computer and send you a message and saying, we need to do an update, an upgrade of your system. You have some kind of issue on your computer. You need to click on this button and provide us with information. Please don't do that. Just like with the government, none of these companies are reaching out to you. They have their tech support that is available to you if you have issues, but you are the one as a customer are going to initiate the conversation and say, hey, I have a problem on my computer. And then they're going to start asking you questions and say, okay, here's how we're going to fix it. And there are companies that can help you with tech support. I have one from my office where they do offer remote login, where they will be able to log into my computer from their office to be able to do the work and troubleshooting. But you have to go through several steps. The technician is on the phone with you. You are the one that is initiating the issue and creating the ticket. And they're asking you for permission one after another to make sure that you feel comfortable with everything. So that's how that works. You, the consumer, always initiate any kind of tech support or anything that pertains to the technology. It's never the other way around from the company. So don't do that. There's no serious issues on the computer that they know of that they have to fix. And of course, with the email, some of the other examples that I had for you, I get notices all the time from, oh, congratulations, you have been selected to receive a $1,000 gift card from Sam's Club or Walmart or just some other stores or Target, right? Because we all know these are familiar things. And what they need you to do is click on this button that says confirm. Again, if you confirm and you click on that button, it gives you access, gives them access to your computer and information that you have stored there. And that's exactly what they're looking for. And also what I encourage you to do is if you're looking at this and you got that email, same thing with the phone number. If you don't recognize it, you're not going to pick up and answer it. The same thing, what I want you to do is look at the from address for your $1,000 gift card. So right now I'm looking at one that I received that I kind of screenshotted. And the email, it says Walmart at your.walmartsup.com. I don't even know what that is. And another one was Sam's Club at qwe.federationsas.com. As you know, big companies have a very simple name. It's walmart.com. Most of the time, their customer service is going to be like info@walmart.com. So that is going to be another red flag for you, that when you're trying to see if this is a legit email or not, when you're looking to see who it's from, it's going to give you a red flag because it's anything but correct information. And also with all of these buttons that they send you for you to click on and to look at, my suggestion to you is you can just hover over that button and it's going to give you an address where that button wants you to go to. And if you look at that address just by hovering, right, you just put your mouse or your cursor right over it and you will see that address. If it's a bunch of gibberish and crap, it's going nowhere and you don't want to push that button. Okay, so that's another way that kind of I have found a good way to figure things out and say, nope, I'm not doing that. So no pop-ups on the internet. No companies are going to call you. I also told my clients, and I'm passing it on to you, the same thing. When it pertains to our community resources, to mortgage, to home ownership, you have to remember one thing. Your home ownership information, when you bought the house, who owns the house, what kind of mortgage you got, and who the mortgage is from, it's all public information. Many people don't realize that and they think it's private. It's not. Anyone can go to the county records of any county and pull up information of anyone that is living on a different street if they really wanted to do that. So if you ever get any kind of mail or email that pertains to your homeownership. I always tell my clients, forward me the email, take a picture of the letter, send it to me, because I will be able to tell you right away if it's a scam, if it's all phishing, phishing spelled with a PH, by the way, or if it's actually legitimate. So I invite you to do the same thing. If you get something and you were like, I have no idea what this is, especially if it pertains to your homeownership, to anything real estate, you are more than welcome to send it to me, and I'm happy to take a look at it for you. You can take a picture and email it to me, because my contact information is under this video, or you can send me a picture via text message, as long as you identify yourself. Because if I don't know who you are and you don't tell me that you're a normal human being, you're not going to hear back from me, that's for sure. That's what we're talking about here. Also, be aware of the next one on my list is fake work from home jobs. And this was, I think, very prevalent before COVID, because after COVID, of course, and during COVID, many jobs became work from home. So these scams involve typically fake job listings online, promising remote work positions in companies that don't even exist. The application process may seem legitimate at first, but then it becomes fishy, because that's when they ask you to buy specific tools and materials that you're going to need to work in the position. And then, of course, when you're paying the money is what they're looking for. They're looking for you to do something and pay some kind of funds to transfer. Okay. So if you're not sure if this is legitimate, you can always Google the company to see if it exists. And you can always do the Google review. You can say the name of the company and then reviews and see what pops up as well. Packaging tracking. I've seen that before too. Even if it's a FedEx, UPS, or United States Postal Services, make sure that you look to see if it's coming from actual provider. Like I was tracking a package that I received today from UPS, and the first time when the company sent me the tracking information, I first looked at to make sure it was actually UPS tracking that was sending it to me, and it wasn't just some random someone trying for me to click on that button, right? Because when you get that email for the tracking, you need to click on that button that's going to redirect you onto the FedEx or the UPS website where you can track that number. So make sure that you're looking at from to see if it's actual legitimate UPS company that is sending to you, or FedEx or DHL or United States Postal Service, and then you can go ahead and click on that. So just be careful about that. So now let's talk about how we're going to protect ourselves. So we talked about a bunch of different ones, and I want you to, first of all, trust your gut. That's the first thing. When you see something, and the first thing that you think about and say, and you ask yourself, is this real or is this a scam? There's a very, very good chance that it's a scam. And this is how we can verify. First of all, don't ever act quickly and just hit the button or do something about it. You don't have to do that. It's not a burning fire. You have the time to kind of sit back and figure out and brainstorm before you actually act on it. And that's what I'm asking you to do. So first of all, if you get a phone call and you don't recognize the number, let it go to voicemail. Because if it's somebody that is important that wants to talk to you, they're going to leave you a message. They're going to send you a text message. That's what I do. I'll leave them a message, say, I'm a real human being. This is who I am. I know my phone number starts with a different zip code than yours, but I am a real, legitimate person. This is why I'm calling. Here's my number. Please call me or text me back and let me know when it's a good time to talk. That's exactly what they're going to do for you. And then you can just return their phone call, right? Okay, so don't answer. If it's a robot, of course, then it's that, if it's that silence and then they start talking, you can actually hear them that they're from customer service, because you can hear others talking on the same line. So if you hear that, just simply hang up. I sometimes will block their numbers as well, but because I get so many of them, I sometimes don't get to it. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. If you get a phone call and it says private number or unknown number, don't even bother, because, and I know some people sometimes will block their numbers, and I can see maybe their reasoning behind it. But at the same time, I think for your safety, just let it go to voicemail. Before you give up money or personal information, don't do that unless you are the one initiating the phone call. If you're not sure and you have to research, Google the company, Google the reviews. You can always do the research before you decide on how to act. And that's my second best advice. The third one is talk to someone that you trust. If it's a family member or a friend who is more techie, who is more knowledgeable, you can always call them and do like a screenshot or take a picture of what you're seeing, send it to them and say, hey, does this look real to you? Is this legitimate? Because I would like to respond, but I'm going to take my time and I wanted to ask for your advice. So ask someone that knows, okay? Don't deposit checks and wire money back. I can tell you that with wiring, the technology has gotten so sophisticated that it's almost impossible to get the money back. It just disappears because it gets transferred through a million different ways. It goes, I don't know, on the dark web. It goes to a different country somewhere in the Caribbean, and then you'll never see that money again. So don't do that, okay? Tech companies do not monitor millions of computers that are used, so they're not going to call you. You can also block solicitations and opt out of commercial mail. So you can do that if you're getting a lot of stuff in the mail and you're just getting tired of it, which, as you know, we talk about that in our declutter class with the fact that you have to stay on top of your mail because it comes to our house 6 days a week, unless it's a Sunday or a holiday. So if you really want to opt out to some of these solicitations for credit cards and some other just crappy stuff that comes in, you can go to optoutprescreen.com. I'm going to put this website as well under this video when we're done. For phone calls, you can always request to be put on the do not call list. It's donotcall.gov, or you can call 1-888-777-3406 and you will get added to the list. What I can tell you is that you can be put on the phone on that list, but people are still going to call you. I think that the volume is probably going to go down because most companies are trying to be the TSP compliant, but some people are not, and they don't pay attention. Okay, so call your family and friends if you're not sure and do some research. What you can do is you can type in the name of the company and a product name in the browser and add words like review or complained or scam and see what pops up in terms of the research. If you're interested in doing charities, I already mentioned 2 ways that you could search the databases, which I'm also going to link for you. And for contractors, I absolutely suggest that you research them to see what kind of reputation do they have in your community. And also you can go on your state's website, Department of Affairs, I believe, and check and see if that contractor has a license. They need to be licensed to do most of the work unless they're a handyman. You can check to make sure that they're licensed. Then you can also ask if they're insured, because somebody who's going to be working in your house needs to be insured in case of they fall. So that's how we handle contractors. Be skeptical about free trial offers. Again, research the company. If it's reputable and what kind of associated feedback and reviews they have. Also check your smartphone settings. You can modify your privacy options and enable the call blocking features that I already mentioned to you as well. A few other suggestions that I have for you is this. Costco has exclusive discounts for a website called Complete ID. It's complete.d.com. You can also look into to see what they offer. There are free scam alerts that if you want to be kept informed, I don't know if it's going to cause you more anxiety or you actually want to know what is happening. The government does keep track of them. You can go to www.ftc.gov/scams. So you can be kept up on that. And I think, and I don't know if you guys noticed it, but in many of the financial apps and the websites that we are using on a regular basis, like banks and some other institutions, they started using multi-factor authentication. So what that means is when you log in, they're going to ask you, we want to send you a code either to your phone or maybe to your email. Please pick one, because they want to verify that it's truly you. And they're going to say, put in the phone number where you want it to be sent. or they send it to the phone number on file. And then as soon as you get it on your phone, you put in that number. And I can understand sometimes it's frustrating because it's more work. However, having that two-step verification is just additional layer of protection, especially when it has to do with your finances. So I put up with that because I really do think it's important. I also suggest that you keep a useful list of phone numbers to call. Add them to your phone. So this way, let's say if it's a new doctor that you just got that you're going to be using and you want to know that it's them calling you, add the doctor's office number to your phone and just make a note who they are. Make sure that you keep the phone number to your bank, police, even adult protective services. Anybody that is important should be added to your phone. So that way, if they call you, you'll know exactly who they are. Make copies of your IDs, credit cards, and passport. This is something that I talk about in some of my other workshops that we do on Zoom, especially if you're traveling. You want to take a picture and create an album. You know, like you have albums of different pictures on your phone. I think you should have an album on your phone. It's called important. That's what I have on mine. And I have copies on there of the things that I get asked to do all the time. Maybe a copy of my driver's license, copy of my passport for verification things. So a copy of my insurance card. So think about the things that you use on a regular basis that you constantly have to go to your wallet to find it. That is the picture that you may want to keep in your phone. And finally, before you do anything else, make sure that your phone is always locked. So that way you can either unlock it with your thumb at the bottom, or you put in the PIN number that nobody else knows about, right? This is how you're keeping all of the information on your phone safe. Because if you're using the apps to pay people, to check your balances and things like that, you want to make sure that your phone is locked. And now just a few thoughts that I wanted to also share with you is because 1 of 5 of you is going to have a problem. And if you haven't already, and what happens if you have been now a victim of the scam? The first thing I want you to realize is I don't want you to be ashamed of it, and I don't want you to be embarrassed because it happens to all of us. It really does. So don't be embarrassed and make sure that you share and confide in someone that you can trust, so that way you guys can then decide on the best course of action and to act quickly, depending on what the situation is. So if it is your computer, you want to make sure that you shut it off completely and just make sure that it's not connected to the Wi-Fi and to the internet. And you need to take it to the professional to have them take a look and see what is on your computer that shouldn't be on there, that is giving access to the world. Okay. You can check out like Best Buy has Geek Squad. Staples and Office Depot also offer those services. Just make sure you go into someone that you can trust that has the reputation for tech support. If you have a friend or family member who is tech and can help you with that and you trust them, absolutely, that should be your go-to. Check your bank accounts for any fraudulent charges and contact your bank and credit cards immediately. They can actually put a hold on everything to make sure there's nothing else that is being charged or going through and no money is going to be leaving. So that's what I would do probably the first if I felt like my finances were going to be in jeopardy. Report the scam to your local police department. I think no matter how small the issue is, if you report it, they're going to send it on for research. And it's very important for tracking because the government is working on, there are agencies that are specifically designated to preventing the fraud and scam and offering and coming up with ideas on protection as well. Internet crime reporting, you can go to tps.fbi.gov. You can actually report things there. AARP has a great fraud hotline. If you have some questions and you don't know who else to turn to, you can give them a call. As you know, AARP is a very reputable publication that is focused on protecting seniors and providing with resources. So AARP's phone number is 877-908-3360. It's a free service and it's available for members as well as non-members. So I'm going to link this information as well. And there are some other things that you can do depending on what state you are. Every state has a county as well as the state agency that is there to protect you. So some of them are like divisions of consumer affairs. They have hotlines as well as websites. There is also attorneygeneral.gov. where you can submit a complaint and report a scam as well. So lots of different options depending on where you are in the country. There's actually a national elder fraud hotline that exists as well, where you can call them every day between 10 and 6 Eastern Standard Time. And their phone number is 833-372-8311. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I think this is such an important conversation. And you know what, maybe next time I bring this up, I'm going to have an expert with me that is going to provide maybe even more valuable information. But my goal for today was to share with you some of the examples of the scams. And I really think that the best thing you can do for you is, number one, don't act right away. Don't answer the phone if you don't know who it is, and research and ask for opinion of somebody that you trust before you make a decision on how you're going to respond. And sometimes even there's no need to respond at all. Okay, so I'm going to type up all of these resources once we're done here, so that way you can hopefully use them or provide them to someone who may be in need. And all of the phone numbers as well as the website addresses are going to be listed under this video. So thank you so much for joining me. I think we're going to wrap up if there's no questions. If you have any questions, please let me know and put them in the chat. If not, we're going to wrap up, and I will get this information over to you. All right, well, if there's no questions, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you find this information helpful. And on our next YouTube Live, we're going to have a professional talking about Medicare and everything that has to do with supplemental plans, how to plan for your medical coverage once you are retirement age, what to do if you're doing early retirement to make sure that you are protected and you are taking care of your health. So thank you so much. We will see you next Wednesday at 5:30 Eastern Time, again, on another great time to talk about important things pertaining to your retirement. Thanks, everybody.